Hi, I'm Tess. Thank you for stopping by my kitchen today. I'm making a galette. It's a savory galette as compared to a sweet fruit. This has tomatoes and goat cheese and homemade pesto, arugula, and grated cheese inside of a savory pastry crust that I have put ground up dried herbs. I put thyme and rosemary and a little oregano in this crust, and I want to show you how I did it. Let's get started. For this galette, I am using a regular short crust pastry. I've added some dried thyme and rosemary and oregano to the crust. I ground it up in my mortar and with the pestle, and this was sitting in the refrigerator overnight. I have put it back out on the counter to warm up because with this crust, unlike the sweet short crust pastry, this needs to be room temperature. Otherwise, you can see it's easy for it to crack, so I have to do this at room temperature. I'm going to be putting some grated cheese in it. I have made a homemade pesto. I'm going to add some arugula and goat cheese and grape tomatoes. You can, instead of the goat cheese, if you want, you can use mozzarella, but I like goat cheese. It reminds me of a margarita pizza, and so that's what I'm doing today. So the first thing we're going to do is roll out this dough to about a 1/4 inch thickness. We're almost there, but I have to clean it up a little bit and get rid of these cracks. This is going to be a very rough, rustic looking galette. It's not going to be cleaned up and pretty. I'm not going to put extra pastry cutouts and decorations. So I'm just going to leave the rough edges for this one. And first thing that's going to go on is the pesto. You can see that this pesto is not exactly what you typically find when you buy it store-bought. I made it at home, and I made it with the mortar and pestle as compared to putting it in the food processor. If I put it in the food processor, it would be blended much more evenly, but because of what I'm using it for, the flavor is the same, and this works just fine. Next, I'm going to layer on the goat cheese. This is about 4 ounces of crumbled goat cheese. Next is the arugula, which I have torn into smaller, more manageable pieces. And then now the tomatoes, I tossed these in a couple of tablespoons of olive oil, a little bit of salt, and a little bit of pepper. And now I'm going to start layering these right on top. But before I do that, I'm going to sprinkle some Parmesan cheese. Almost forgot that. If I put this on top of the tomatoes, it just won't look quite as attractive. Although I will be sprinkling some onto the crust once it is folded up and over. And then now, continue adding the tomatoes. An egg wash on the crust. The egg wash is on. Now I want to sprinkle some grated cheese over the crust. That will brown up really beautifully when it's in the oven. This is going to bake at 375 degrees for about 45 minutes, maybe a little bit more. And I can't wait to try it. So here it is, fresh out of the oven, ready to go on to our dinner table. My husband is waiting anxiously. He's been waiting for about an hour now. Tomato, goat cheese, galette with fresh pesto and arugula down inside. I hope you try it. Enjoy.